I've made over $10 million in real estate, and having worked with investors for over 10 years now and have been involved in thousands of transactions, I've gathered some fundamental principles on how to become a successful real estate investor. I've also witnessed hundreds of perfectly average people secure their first deal in under 6 months after gaining access to these same principles. One of those principles is this: everything that you want in life is on the other side of acquiring knowledge. For example, Hector was working as a pool boy in Southern California when he bought a 10-unit retail center for $3.1 million. He had no prior experience in real estate whatsoever, but because he got access to the right information, followed instructions, and put in the work to find the deal, he was able to raise the capital to ultimately buy that deal, then to manage the property, and was able to sell that property for $1.3 million profit just 10 months after buying it. Not a bad start for your first deal, right? You can get to know Hector and access that same advice that helped him in our free community by clicking on the link in the description. Now, you might be thinking, well, I don't have access to $3 million, Paul. I don't have that kind of money just laying around. Well, most people don't. And I'll be honest, having access to big money helps, but the good news is you don't really need it to get started. Real estate is an asset class where you're not expected to have all the money yourself. In fact, people expect you to borrow the money to buy the property. Everyone starts from scratch. It's so important to realize that every successful person that you've ever heard of started as an absolute beginner too. The secret is they were just willing to learn and acquire new skills. One of those skills is finding and negotiating a really good deal, which makes it possible for you to then raise the capital from other people to acquire that property, or to find buyers who are willing to buy the deal from you, which is also known as wholesaling. So you want to leverage this newfound skills along with a bunch of just good old-fashioned hustle. Take Pamela, for example. She didn't have a lot of money to start with. In fact, she was in a pretty bad spot, but she used the strategies that I shared with her to find a 24-unit property in Dayton, Ohio. She was able to wholesale that deal and made an $18,000 assignment fee, all without putting a single penny into the deal. That got her back on her feet, and now she's out there looking for her next deal. And you can follow the same simple 5-step framework, starting with step number 1, which is to find the right property. So you want to target a specific asset class in a specific area. So for an example, let's target multifamily properties in the state of Ohio that are owned by out-of-state owners and that are owned free and clear, meaning that there's no debt on the property. And you can use a tool called Commercial Deal Finder to find these off-market leads and kind of search and filter for yourself. And there are 2 big types of leads out there. There's off-market and then there's on-market. Off-market means the property isn't listed for sale anywhere. Therefore, it's called off-market, while on-market means it's listed by an agent or a broker. And each of these has both their pros and their cons. With off-market leads, if you find an owner who's willing to sell, you're probably the only person talking to them, which often means you can negotiate a much better deal. The downside, though, is they're not expecting your call, so there's much more friction because you're essentially just kind of calling them out of the blue, and that's why we use our magic script. So step number 2 is what we call attraction marketing. So once you're calling the owner, you want to confirm that they're the owner of the property, and then you want to make sure you don't come across as a salesperson. So what we do is we call, we text, and we leave voicemail saying, hey, we have some information on your property on 123 Main Street. Give us a call back. What this does is it grabs their attention and their curiosity, and it increases the chance that they'll reach back out to us. So then we walk through our magic script. We confirm that they're the owner. They tell them that we're looking to buy properties in the area and ask if they'd be open to receiving an offer. No matter what they say, we're always polite and we acknowledge anything they're saying, and we give a quick answer to any question they ask. And then we redirect the conversation to another question along the line of questioning that we want. Whoever asks the question controls the conversation. For example, when you ask, are you open to selling? And they say, you know what? No, I'm not. I'm not looking to sell. I got it. No problem. You're not looking to sell. You wouldn't happen to have another property that you would consider selling, would you, by chance? Or, I got it. You're not looking to sell. I understand. Since you're not looking to sell, maybe you're open to buying. Would you want to hear about deals that we come across in the area? We're very serious about finding some deals here. And once you talk to enough people, you'll start getting solid leads. They'll say something like, you know what, anything's for sale for the right price. Or, yeah, go ahead and let's talk. And you say, perfect. Your response is great. All I need is some basic information and I can see if we're in the right ballpark. Does that sound fair? And so what I've done is I've linked our magic script below so you can try it out for yourself. It's a great way to get started as a complete beginner. So moving on to step number 3 is to calculate the numbers to know if this deal is a good deal or not. And all all you need is 3 fundamental pieces of information. First, you need to know the asset type. Is it a multifamily? Is it an RV park? Is it a storage facility, etc.? Then you want to know how many units does this property have? And then lastly, you want to know what's the average monthly rent per unit. That's enough information to just run the numbers to see if you're in the same ballpark. From there, you can analyze the deal and make an offer that would give you a 10 to 15% cash on cash return, also referred to as a return on investment. And we usually make one cash out offer where they get all their money up front, and then we make 2 owner financing offers. I'll link to a video showing how we run the numbers so you know if a deal is a good deal or not, and how we go about structuring our offers. So that takes us to step number 4, which is to execute the plan and make offers at scale. So it's time to submit a lot of offers, and most of them won't land. I'll be perfectly honest with you, this is a lot of work and it's just a numbers game. But after making a whole lot of offers, you'll eventually find an owner who is ready to do a real deal. And that's exactly how both Hector and Pamela found their deals. They followed this same process and they just worked the system. Now, I know what you might be thinking. That's great and all. This sounds amazing, but dude, I'm busy. I don't have time for all this. And yeah, let me tell you, it is a lot of work. But the truth is, it's rarely about time, and it's really turns out to be about priorities. I started this business while working a full-time job. I was working 40, 50, sometimes 60 hours a week. I had 2 little ones at home. My wife was a stay-at-home mom, and she was just pulling her hair out. Life was crazy and chaotic, and my time was very limited. So I just found a way to make it work. I worked deals during my lunch hours. I would make phone calls on my commute home during the evenings. Then after my kids went to bed at night, instead of kicking my feet up and watching Netflix, I would spend that time to analyze deals and email offers to both brokers and sellers. And that just kind of became my side hustle until I made enough money to cover my living expenses and quit my day job. If it's important enough to you, you will find the time. In fact, you will make the time. The shape of your future will be determined by how you spend the hours between 5 and 9 p.m. So you make your living between 9 to 5, you gotta pay the bills, but then those 2 to 4 hours per day of flex time that you have, that's when you're gonna build your future. And if you're watching Netflix or you're doom scrolling on TikTok or you're playing video games, I get it. You're wiped out and you just want to veg. But when you do so, your priorities are clear. Building a pipeline of deals takes sacrifice. The key here is to stack these little wins over time, which builds into a business that could ultimately lead to millions of dollars. The good news here is that we've created tools inside of our community to make this process faster, cheaper, and easier for you. I've designed this community with you in mind to help you solve for the same challenges that I went through. So that takes us to step number 5, which is to seal the deal and get paid, because that's why we're all here. After submitting offers, you'll eventually get a signed purchase and sale agreement. From there, you can use that deal to raise capital for your purchase or assign the contract to an end buyer for a big assignment fee. And that's how you get paid. In order to build wealth, you need 5 fundamental pillars. It's time, money, knowledge, network, and a value creation vehicle. Well, and you're wondering, what in the world is a value creation vehicle? Well, in the context of real estate, that's a good deal that you negotiated. What you've done here is you've leveraged your time and the knowledge that you've gathered from this to secure a good deal in the marketplace, and then you use that deal to either find capital to buy it yourself or to sell the contract for an assignment fee and collect some serious cash. And then you do it again and again and again, and that's how you unlock wealth. This framework of 5 simple steps are all you need to build serious business where you're making between $50,000 and $100,000 per deal, or buying deals that generate between $5,000 and $20,000 of net cash flow per month. Doing so can be absolutely life-changing. If you want help accelerating your path to landing your own deals, you can join our free community so you can learn more, or you can jump to the head of the line and book a call with my team to see how we can work together, and that link is below too. Until then, you can watch the next video that YouTube algorithm has determined to be the best next step in your journey. I hope you enjoy it.